That was his thing. My son loved the sunsets. That was his passion. He loved photography. He loved skateboarding. He was just his own person, you know. He didn't follow what everybody else was doing. I tried to buy him a pair of Jordans one time, and he, oh, Mama, I want those. And he wants some Vans, you know. So I'm just telling you guys, my son was a beautiful soul. He was a good boy. No one's perfect, but he was damn near. He was close to the home.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He was scared for his life. And just what I thought, like I said, I didn't see the video, but everyone asked me what I thought happened. And I told them, the TVI people and everybody. And I told them, now you proved me wrong.
And she said that before she knew about the video, just from seeing the photograph that they took in the hospital, yes. Seeing him in the hospital that next day with his head swelled up, they said beyond recognition, and his neck swollen.
Broken.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I think briefly to try to respond to the first part of your question, as Attorney Ramanucci said, the police chief should disband the Scorpion unit immediately. I am sad to even think that what you said is true, that they would use African-American officers to go berate African-American citizens because they thought it would get less attention. We know that other citizens have now come forward to my office saying that their constitutional rights were violated by the Scorpion unit and that they actually tried to report them and nothing happened. So, you know, we cannot give anybody a pass on our constitutional rights, on our dignity, on our humanity. It doesn't matter if it's a black police officer or a white police officer. And that's what hurts so bad, because you want them to see the humanity in us, and you keep thinking to yourself, these officers got to understand that, you know, that could have been your brother, your little brother. Tyree could have been your little brother. Would you want anybody to do what you were doing to Tyree to your little brother? And that's how you have to think about it, that what if this was my family member? Hopefully every police officer in America would start thinking when they interact with a citizen, what if this was my brother or my sister or my child? That's what we want. We want compassion and respect. The same way you de-escalate with white citizens, well, de-escalate with black citizens too. We all want to get home to our families. We want you to get home to your family, and we want to get home.
All right, remarks there from the family of Tyree Nichols regarding his beating that took place a few weeks ago. But we want to cut away from this and bring you live remarks from officials in Shelby County. These are remarks from the Board of Commissioners. They are calling for calm before the release of the police body cam footage. Let's go ahead and listen in here on Live Now from Fox.
The impending release of this video is going to elicit a lot of emotions from our citizens. Seeing the video firsthand is horrendous. And I understand that there are going to be some people who choose not to watch the video. And I understand that as well, because that's going to elicit some trauma that people may have. But what we're asking people to do, as Tyree's mother has asked us to do, is to let your voices be heard, but let your voices to be heard in a peaceful manner. Unfortunately, times like this, issues like these happen to bring upon change. And we know that additional conversations need to happen about the culture that we have, not only with law enforcement, but as well as with our citizens in our city. Look forward to having those conversations, look forward to see what we can do firsthand, look forward to partnering with law enforcement to do just that. A lot of things that you may not have heard. I also appreciate the members of law enforcement that have reached out to me personally and said, this does not represent the culture of our city, and that they're going to stand arm in arm to make sure that everyone understands and knows that. So we're asking for that. We're asking for calm as this video is being released. We're asking for people to let your voices be heard. That's your right. That's your right to let your voices be heard. But let's be a model for the nation, because the eyes are upon Memphis today. So let us do that in a peaceful manner. I'd like to ask a member of the state legislature, Representative, I think London Lamar is here, to say a few words as well.
Thank you. Senator London Lamar, District 33. First and foremost, my heartfelt condolences go out to the Nichols family. I had the opportunity to see the mother speak Monday at her press conference, and it was no doubt heartbreaking to see a mother have to grieve in front of the whole world for the loss of her son in such an egregious manner. This community is hurting, and people are frustrated, and rightfully so. But everything I have seen so far is that the community is coming together. We are united because we never want this to happen again. So what we need to focus on is healing. Healing starts with accountability for the officer who was involved in Tyree's death. That is moving forward, and the system is actually working. Even Ben Crump said this internal investigation should be a blueprint for the nation. But after these prosecutions take place, then we have to figure out how to prevent this from happening again. This starts with tearing down a culture of police brutality. I'm not suggesting that this is going to be easy, because if this was easy, every police department in the United States would have done it already. For instance, in the state legislature, we passed a law in 2019 that requires police officers to intervene when they witness another police officer using excessive force. But that didn't happen in this case. At least 4 officers ignored the laws already in place that they swore to uphold. So I'm looking at the future at this point, and I want to bring people together who are committed to changing the culture at our police departments. We need police officers who are ready to hold their colleagues accountable in every tense moment. We have to create a culture of accountability at our police department that starts with the officers themselves. This is going to be hard work, but necessary work. And if you see today, we have elected officials from every level of government here today standing together that we are committed to getting this right. There are still more good officers than bad. And for those who've been on the front line of holding us accountable to making sure we put laws in place that hold these officers accountable, we thank you for your work. And we at the state legislature will stand with those, our local elected officials, to make sure we get this right. And again, heartfelt condolences out to the Nichols family. And everyone who decides to come out tonight, we will appreciate peaceful protests. And for those of you from outside our city who are trying to plan to come in and support these efforts, we ask that you follow the lead of the folks here in Memphis who know their city the best if you want to help us in any effort. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sure.
First of all, excuse me, good afternoon, and thank you, Chairman and State Representative, for the opportunity to speak with you today. First of all, my heartfelt condolences and prayers goes to the Nichols family. What happened in our city over a week or so ago shouldn't have never happened. I'm here to tell you today that we don't train that way, but are we looking forward to conversations? Yes, we are. You know, I'll tell you a story, and you may have heard it before, that my father started off at the Memphis Police Department. My dad, who is 88 years old, called me and cried because he was one of the first African-American, he was not the first, but one of the first African-American police officers in this city. And it hurt him to his core, even now at 88 years old. I've worn this badge for 42 years. Been proud to wear this badge. And there are many, many, many good officers on the Memphis Police Department as well as the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. But we cannot condone this. We do not condone this type of action. It's not in our training. It's not at the sheriff's office. When you talk about accountability, of course, these officers should be prosecuted. And I will say thank you to the Memphis Police Department, our partners over there, for their swift action in firing these officers, and even DA Mulroy with the swift charges that were brought forth. So we're looking forward to these conversations. And again, we will be there to protect the public, to serve and protect the public like we normally do. And we're looking forward to any conversation that anyone wants to have with the sheriff's office and moving forward. And we do look forward to moving forward. Again, my condolences again to the Nichols family, and may God bless them. Thank you.
Thank you all. We need to have a broader conversation about police reform at various law enforcement levels in Tennessee, in Shelby County, in Memphis, and throughout the country. But right now, I'm going to focus on what's happening tonight with the release of the video. And about that release of the video, I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it's important, as Chairman Lowry said, to take note of what the family of Tyree Nichols has said in calling for any demonstrations to be peaceful. And I'm cautiously optimistic because I believe in Memphis and I believe in Shelby County. I know that we've had a record of decades of peaceful protest, whether it was Darius Stewart or the George Floyd information. Even when the bridge was taken over, we did it peacefully. And I believe that's what's going to happen tonight. If there's any demonstrations, that they will be peaceful demonstrations. And I will say this, if there are any people out there, whether local people or people coming in from another county who are tempted to act otherwise, my message to them is this: if you do that, you're making it about you, not about Tyree Nichols or not about police reform. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Again, our hearts go out to Mama Rowe and the family of Tyree Nichols. This is certainly put us in the national spotlight again, Representative. And it's just gut-wrenching to see this play out on news day in and day out. We don't want to be known as a city where we see these kinds of things happening. And yet here we are once again in the national spotlight for something that is egregious and something that has occurred and something that could have been prevented and should have been prevented if the officers involved followed their training and followed the procedures which were already on the books. And so Senator Lamar talked about the law that was passed, which is a duty to intervene. So this is a law that says if you see someone that is being excessive, that is acting out of character, that is violating the oath that they took, you should stop them. And so I was on a call earlier today. One may ask, was it the fact that the guys were doing what they did, or was it much worse that folks stood around, officers stood around and just allow this brutalization to take place? It's just unfathomable that we are at a place where those who took that oath to serve and protect have now potentially murdered an innocent man, a man that was simply trying to make it home, a man that called out for his mother 3 times as he lost his life, a man that had his mother's name tattooed on his arm because he loved his mother so much. And that mother has to sit up and bear the brunt of us, bear the brunt of all of this, and she's not yet been able to grieve for her beloved son. So we grieve for Mama Rowe, we grieve for the family of Tyree Nichols, but we must vow to not let Tyree Nichols' death be in vain. We must vow, whether we are on the commission, whether we are on the city council, whether we are at the state, that Tyree Nichols' dying shall not be in vain. We have to make the change. We have to do it now. We have to follow the great model that we've seen. What are the things that we've seen here that's different from George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor? An indictment, a quick and swift termination, and transparency with the video release. These three factors, we hope, would tamper down any violent protests which may have been planned. And so we ask those citizens who are going out today, exercise your First Amendment right. The NAACP is based upon the ability of citizens to protest, to march, to fight for the rights that were guaranteed to us by the Constitution. But we also ask that you do it peacefully. It does not make sense to tear up this community, your community, and burn this community down in order to get a point across. Let's burn down the culture which allows this to happen. Let's tear down the laws which still are on the books but are not being followed. Let's give those laws more teeth. Let's tear up this thing where the badge would give one the ability to go in and do this without concern from who is on the other side. That's what we need to burn down and tear down, the policies and the culture, not the city and our communities. So on behalf of the NAACP, we stand with Chairman Lowry. We stand with the state leadership and the city leadership. We stand with the clergy and calling for justice for Tyree. It's real simple. We want justice for Tyree, and we want it now. Thank you very much.
Pastor Ricky Floyd, Pursuit of God Transformation Center. The world is watching us right now. And in the midst of this tragedy, we have a magnificent opportunity to display love, to display unity. I want to thank the police department. They responded right and quickly. The district attorney office responded right and quickly. Now we as citizens of this city, we have an opportunity to respond right and quickly in peace and love. I don't think it's an accident. I've gotten calls from probably 15 states in the United States of America. The world is watching us. And I don't think it's an accident that this happened January the 7th through the 15th, which is the week that we're celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. I think we as Memphis, Tennessee have an opportunity at this time to set a new precedence, a new protocol, a new image, and to redeem ourselves for what happened with Martin Luther King in this city by bringing peace, unity, new structures, systems, and order. And I just want to thank everybody for their commitment, love, and unity to maximize this opportunity to display that we are one in the city of Memphis. So condolences not only to the family who suffered this tragedy by the death of their son, but I want to let the officers, wives, mothers, children, brothers and sisters know that I'm equally praying for them as well.
Charlie Caswell, Commissioner, District 6. And I just end this and just say that just standing here a few months ago when the Ezekiel Kelly and the other incident what happened and the world was watching us, we knew that we had to do something to come together. And a lot of what this body and many of those individuals who are standing here, our pastors, our police, our politicians, our parents, principals, proprietors have been working on a unified work to bring this community together. We would not stop that work. We know that there are good police that are still in our community, serving our community, and we want all of our community to know that we'll continue to stand with them. My prayers go out to the Nichols families and to continue to pray for our community as a whole. I believe that Memphis is going to do what they've been doing, and that is the right thing to call for peace in our community because, as has been said by many, justice is being served, and we're in a new day. Thank you all for coming.
All right, thank you all. Again, purpose for us to just make sure that we are employed to our community to be peaceful tonight. Listen, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to thank our law enforcement, but be angry at what happened. It's a terrible situation. It's a terrible video. And I understand those of the public who don't want it released at all because they're fearful what could happen tonight. But let's show them differently. The eyes are watching. Thank you all for being here. And now we'll pause for any questions.
I'm wondering if either legislatively, the commission, in terms of policy, or the sheriff, there will be anything you'll be doing going forward to ensure something like this never happens in the sheriff's office.
Yes, so we actually have the chair of the Law Enforcement Committee, Commissioner Sugarman's here as well. Those will definitely be conversations we're going to have in our committee. We have to be proactive. Unfortunately, when tragedies happen like this, you have to implement policies and change in process procedures, and we'll be proactive about that.
Commissioner, the family of Tyree Nichols, as well as Tyree and some of the protesters, they're calling for this board meeting to be disbanded. Where does the commission stand when we all play any role?
We don't play any role in that. That's going to be up to the police department. Obviously, the mayor and the city council will speak to that. We don't have that unit for the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, so we won't weigh in on that.
Question maybe for Dave Moore, but when it comes to the swift action, or basically action that was taken as far as the legality process of this, is this something that can be placed as a precedent for other cases like this one, even if it doesn't involve law enforcement?
Well, I believe that this particular case was extraordinary in terms of the public concern, the potential to undermine confidence in the fairness of the system, so therefore the need for transparency and quick transparency and real public safety concerns about what the public reaction would be if the video were actually released. So I think those extraordinary circumstances, justified expedited action. Now, obviously, we don't have the capacity to expedite every serious case. We have many serious cases. But when there are public safety concerns like this, then I think this demonstrates that both the TBI and the district attorney's office is able to move quickly when they need to. And particularly in those cases of officer-involved fatalities where you have those unique concerns about the need for transparency, restoring public confidence, public safety concerns. I think, as Ben Crump said today, that what the TBI did and what the DA's office did can serve as a blueprint for other jurisdictions around the country.
While you're up there, this is not the last of this case. There are 5 more arrested. Can you bring us up to speed about how this investigation is continuing with any other possible charges?
Well, I'm not sure what else I can say except that the investigation does in fact continue. It's an ongoing investigation, and everything that we did yesterday, or better put, nothing we did yesterday precludes the addition of other charges later on down the road. But as to the likelihood of that happening or the pace at which that will happen, that's the kind of thing that I really just can't talk about because it's an ongoing investigation and a pending prosecution.
Before the sake of transparency, can you please share with us how many more people are involved in this investigation?
Well, no, for the same reason I just articulated. It's the kind of thing that it would not be appropriate for me to talk about with regard to an ongoing investigation and a pending prosecution. But I will say this. In a few hours, you'll be able to watch for yourselves a video recording of almost everything relevant that happened, almost from beginning to end. And then you'll be able to judge for yourselves, at least a lot of the people that were in some way, shape, or form involved in the incident.
Your Honor, has there been any extra talks within your department on taking a look at policies or anything extra that you guys might be trying to do as far as training in light of this?
Yes, absolutely. Excuse me. Anytime an incident like this happens, and then we have policy review. We're CALEA certified, and this is a national organization that comes in and look at our policies and procedures and make sure we're doing the best practices. But anytime something like this happens across the country, you go back and you look and make sure that we're doing what our policies and procedures are saying, and that we're doing for our officers the best that we can do. I just think that anytime something like this horrendous incident occur, it makes any law enforcement agency head go back and look and make sure.
Sheriff Father, I know you mentioned today that you guys are ready to protect and serve. Can you talk about how you're preparing for any potential protests or unrest? How are you
Excuse me. Yes, we are prepared. We have officers that are standing by, if you will. Just had a conversation with DA Mulroy. Look, Kelly, we don't want to arrest anyone tonight. And as all of these speakers have said, we hope that the protest, if there's a protest, is done peacefully. But we cannot allow people to get hurt, property to be destroyed. And all in the name of Tyree Nichols, whose parents have said they didn't want that. They wasn't expecting that. So I just ask the public to respect the parents. I mean, when you talk about if anyone is hurting more than anyone in this community, it's this young man's parents. And again, I offer them condolences, and we just need to, you know, the parents are even calling for peace. So I hope the public will listen. All of these elected officials that have been up at the mic this afternoon, we're all asking for Memphis to be a beacon, for Memphis to be the example. And we can do it. I have faith in this community. We can do it. So hopefully we have a peaceful night. Well, I know in talking with Matt Perry, the colonel at State Troopers, Tennessee Highway Patrol, I spoke to him about 9:30 this morning, and he was on his way downtown, down to Memphis from Nashville. He's going to be here. I think there are some extra troopers here around the county right now. I do not know about the National Guard. We did not call the National Guard.
I'm wondering for our two mayoral candidates, if you would address what you would do, if you would address and how you would address this work incident if elected as mayor.
Well, me personally, I don't think this is the appropriate time to talk about that. We should be focused on the job at hand tonight. I think there's plenty of time for us to talk about that in addressing the Scorpion Union. I work for the county, I'm the sheriff, and I just don't think that this is an appropriate time to talk about that.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, officials there in Memphis, Tennessee, providing an update and urging community members to be calm tonight as we are expecting the release of the body cam footage showing the brutal beating of Tyree Nichols. Again, Nichols is the 29-year-old Black man who died 3 days after a brutal beating that involved 5 former Memphis police officers. And you see his photo there on your screen. Now, that beating has been described as appalling, inhumane, and is even being described and compared to the Rodney King beating that happened back in 1991 in Los Angeles. Now, we'll have more on the investigation in 2 minutes.